Well, welcome to the Tenant Podcast. I'm Todd Pearson here with my brother from another mother. You know him as quite possibly the most interesting man in the world, coming to you from the beautiful state of South Dakota, my partner, Mr. Wes Brown.
Todd, how you doing, my friend? Oh my God, it's another week. It's great art, and I'm excited about this one. This is going to be a lot of fun.
I am as well. Our friend Bob Ragland would be proud of.
Yes, he would.
The artist that we're going to interview this week. Things going well for you, brother?
Yeah, not too bad. Just the weather's been really nice. Some killer winds the other night, but we survived. Toto's still here.
You've been getting a lot of wind up there?
Yeah. It feels like Wyoming. I don't know why, but it feels like Wyoming.
Yeah, it's been weird, man.
Yeah.
Definitely a windy spring here as well. As they're fighting these fires down south of us in New Mexico. It sounds like all over the place. They're getting pretty horrendous winds.
Yeah, for sure.
Before we get into it, a quick reminder to follow us on social media on our Tenant Podcast Facebook page and on our Instagram at Tenant Podcast. And of course, check out our website, tenantpodcast.com, where you can access both our current episodes and the entire Tenant archive. It's another 2-for-1 episode. Joining us this week, we have Andrew Bailey and Brian Tryon. Andrew Bailey is a photographer and high school student in Colorado Springs. Brian Tryon is a photography teacher at Community Prep School, a photographer, and is the founder of a new art gallery in Colorado Springs, the Garfield Art Gallery. You can find and follow the Garfield Art Gallery on Instagram at the.garfieldartgallery. Gentlemen, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
Doing great. Thank you for having us. This is a cool experience.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you very much.
I want to start out with Brian and talking about this new gallery space that you have. How long have you been doing this new gallery?
It's really new. I opened it in March. I want to say, March. So we just had our first Friday and third artist. Featured artist. So yeah, it's a really new endeavor right now.
Nice. Now you're a photographer yourself,
right?
And you teach photography,
right?
How long have you been a photographer?
Oh, geez, man. I started photographing in the 80s in high school, skateboarding and bands and different things like that. So, the film era, and life things got in the way later on in life, and then I jumped back into it probably like full on and professionally about 11 years ago again.
Okay. So did you have a teacher that kind of sparked this interest in photography, or is that something you just kind of glommed onto, took a photography class and away you went?
No, I'm self-taught. I hated school. I hated how teachers ran the art programs and photography programs. I just started hanging out with like-minded people in the skateboard community and started just picked up a camera. I mean, back in those days, like I said, it was film. So my grandma was, an amateur photographer, so she always had a camera around. So yeah, I just learned on my own and hanging around with the right people, and it just blossomed from there.
You talked about skateboarding and music that kind of go hand in hand a lot of times. What kind of photography outside of those realms do you like to do? What kind of things do you like to explore with your photography?
I do a lot of documentary photography. I actually have I photographed a lot of the pandemic and the BLM movement. So I have an archive. They just started the Pikes Peak Library District for me down here. I love documentary photography, portrait photography, and street photography. So really just a lot of lifestyle photography, just documenting, life in general and just, interesting subjects and so forth.
And it appears that you really enjoy black and white photography. Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have a dark room and, we can do color development and printing, but I just like black and white because it kind of strips away reality, and I think it's just more moody. And to me, it's just more pleasant to look at.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about black and white photography too is that, we see everything in color. And so black and white definitely just gives a different impression, different feel. And sometimes I appreciate the people that can colorize old black and white photos, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's not the same. It's interesting to see what they might look like with flesh tones, but yeah, I think it loses something there, especially in street photography. I think that black and white really lends itself to that. Sets a mood, like you said. So
for sure. And I think also too, it's like, you're telling a story with the photograph. So keeping it in black and white and stripping away that reality, I think the viewer is getting more, questions and answers kind of deal. Just for example, shooting some of the BLM stuff that I shot, you couldn't tell if you put photos side by side from like the 50s to 2 years ago, unless you saw like a cell phone or a modern car in that. And I like that fact. I like that it keeps it timeless like that as well.
Yeah, it shows the relationship between the struggle of the 60s and what we're seeing now. For sure.
For sure.
This archive of documenting the BLM movement, was that done in the Springs, or was that done up here in Denver, or did you travel around to do some of that work?
I did some traveling, but since it's the Pike Creek Library District, we focused just on Colorado Springs. I had some stuff from Woodland Park, but just all the Colorado Springs movement that was happening at the time. So that's what's in it.
And I see a lot of portraits on your Instagram. What draws you to portraiture?
I love photographing people. I like telling a story with people. I just really enjoy, a lot of the people I photograph, I know their stories, and I know them. There's a few people I don't. And I just like the human presence. I like the human feel and the human touch with everything. And I just like, I think we're obviously in a world of cell phones and selfies and all that kind of stuff. And I can't remember how many millions of photographs are taken per day now because we all have cell phones. But making the difference and showing the difference between a selfie and a self-portrait, and kind of showing people's vulnerability. And, I think it's easy for people to do a selfie and make, funny faces and, because that's safe and everything. But I like to take portraits where, I have a little small dialogue with them, even if it's like a 10-minute dialogue, and then I shoot as we talk. So you capture the realness, and there's no fake smiles. You just get the real human presence and kind of the rawness of the person.
Yeah. I like that. That's awesome.
So you really enjoy that connection that you make with that person.
Right. Even if it's just a small 10-minute, whatever connection, it's just cool just to connect, and also too, we live in a social media world where it seems like everything is through text message and Instagrams and Facebooks. And this is a real human connection. That's what I really like about it as well.
I love that. Hey man, I want to talk about a piece real quick. I love this portrait. This is a friend of yours, I guess.
He's one of my students, actually.
Okay. Yeah. Talk about this. Do you have a name for this?
Yeah, this is Javier. So the school I teach at is an at-risk alternatives high school. These are students at really kind of their last chance to maybe even try to graduate, last chance, and they all have stories and they didn't come here because they did so well at all the other high schools in Colorado Springs, and they figured, hey, I'll go kill it at community prep. So this young man here, dad lives in Mexico. He's really into the Mexican culture. So I decided, let's do some photographs of you in your kind of traditional look and your traditional clothes and that kind of stuff. He's, his boots were handmade in Mexico. His belt was handmade in Mexico. He doesn't get to see his dad much because, they live out here. He lives up there, and he's kind of honoring his father with this as well. So I said, let's photograph that. Let's show some, and I think we're working through some mental health issues too with this. That's another reason I like these kind of photographs. He was able to express himself, show some pride in his heritage, show some pride in his love for his father. So after we took the original shoot, I wanted to add it where he was holding up the prints of the photographs and kind of just show the different stages of it rather than having three different poses and three different frames.
I love what you did with this portrait. There's so much going on with it, man. And you really kind of get a sense of who this gentleman is,
Right.
Again, I love that it's shot in black and white. How did he feel about it? How did Javier feel about it?
Gave him confidence. Just felt like I said, a student that doesn't like coming to school. It's a cultural thing. It's a family tradition where, not a lot of their family members graduate or come to school. just gave him some self-confidence. Like I said, that we all have stories, and he struggled with different anxieties and depressions and different things like that. So just kind of like, again, showing that human emotion, letting yourself kind of be vulnerable and see like a final product of that. And then just showing, it just really made him proud. He stood up, stuck out his chest, and gave him some confidence. I don't know even if it was a 20-minute break from whatever his depression or anxiety was, or whatever was going on with him that day, it was a 20-minute break. He was able to kind of get out of that mindset and be focused on, something proud and something that he was really into.
Right on.
The one thing I like about the two photographs that he's holding is just his gestures show like he has a certain amount of respect. I love those gestures because it shows him as like a respectful young man. And, right. I just love those. Those are great.
I don't do a lot of posing. I mean, I think you have to have that connection with somebody. And, there's people I'm like that. I mean, I don't want to do it with my hands. I don't like to be photographed, and I'm a photographer, but this was just kind of me talking to him, and he just went with it. And I think a lot of the portraits I do are like that, and there's every now and again, it might be a little bit of gesturing or posturing or whatever, but he kind of did all this on his own and was just showing, he was taking pride in what he was doing.
Yeah. I love that. It's very natural, very natural.
Yeah,
looking.
For sure.
Now, is he a current student of yours?
Yeah, he is. Most of a big chunk of his family went to school here, and he's got a brother currently here. And so, just trying to get him to come to school and try to get him to participate in some. He's actually took my darkroom class, did really well with that. He's been in photography in my classes off and on, but yeah, he's still a current student.
Nice. This whole session and his experience with your photography class, do you think that has changed his school experience, his education experience? And have you made more of a connection with him?
For sure. I mean, I think I run my classes more as, I'm kind of your guide more than your teacher. I kind of want to guide with you. And I teach everything is like set up as a working darkroom, a working studio, a working print shop, and it's not classroom styled or anything like that. So I want to give you that experience. And then I've made so many connections just in the darkroom alone, because we've labeled it a safe space, a non-judgment space, whether it comes to music or, could we listen to music in there? And, we all have different music tastes, and we've just dubbed that place a safe zone. And it really gets me to know their stories. And once you get to know the stories and build that relationship, it does help them start coming to school. It makes them feel more comfortable, and it gets them to to trust you to where, hopefully they graduate. If not, they've learned a skill set, and they've learned to kind of work in mindfulness and learn to, let down their guard a little bit and show their talents.
Talk a little bit more about what all you offer through your classes. You talked about the darkroom experience, which I think is really important for young photographers. I think it's nice that they have that foundation, in film before they move on to digital or in conjunction with digital. What all are you able to offer through your classes?
So when I first started working here, I started the photography program and built the darkroom. Film photography is you're an every aspect part of the artistic process, from loading the film to your mind's eye, to shooting the film, to developing the film and printing and making your prints. And that, most of our students are hands-on learners. So it offers that. It offers them to be creative and see this magical experience. I mean, I remember how I felt when I first saw a darkroom. I printed my first darkroom print, and that the print comes up out of the chemical, and you get to see all that. So I offer that. I offer digital photography because sometimes, being lack of budget or whatever, or, cell phones, everybody has a cell phone. So there's a camera on a cell phone. So we'll offer that. I do, like I said, a full studio setup. So we can do portrait photography. They do all their own printing, either whether it's digital or in the darkroom. They do all the matting. They do all the framing. And then the next piece of this was, starting the gallery. I had pretty much taken over the basement here at the school. So the gallery was just another, I think, a win-win situation when I was thinking about how going back to some of our students that, they didn't like to go to other classes. They wanted to hide in our basement or this. So I was like, I want to offer you another safe place and a place where you can create and be creative, and let's build some relationships and offer you a skill set or, whatever that may be. So I offer full studio setup, a dark room, film and digital photography, and now the gallery and setting. So, and we also do outdoor trips and overnight trips and things like that, like working in the field.
So very much hands-on, very involved in multiple,
for sure,
multiple ways at your school.
Yeah.
How long? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask how long you've been a teacher there.
I've been a teacher here for 5 years. I'm actually going on 6 years. This will be my sixth school year. So yeah.
Were you teaching somewhere else previous?
I started at another high school in town as a custodian. And then I wanted to get some way into, a good steady job. That was, and then I worked my way up, I guess if you want to call it that, to a campus supervisor, which is a security person at a high school. But I was building these relationships with students, and I was mentoring students. And I have a life story that I was able to share with students. I really started getting to the aspect of like, okay, I really want to work with young people, mentor, guide. And then the opportunity rose to come and interview for community prep. And I took it, and long story short, I'm here now, and I'm able to do everything that I wanted to do, because I was this kind of student too. Like I said, I didn't like, school. I didn't have teachers really supporting me. I didn't have anybody guiding me into anywhere. And I wanted to be that person for young adults that were struggling.
I love that, man.
That's
awesome.
Amazing. I love the fact that, especially struggling students, if they can connect to one teacher, that can make a huge difference. And then you're providing something that's, non-traditional as far as education, and really an opportunity to make it a career path. Yeah. And then adding the gallery is just like, that's exposing them to a whole new level of the artistic process. And man, that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, like I said, not everybody's going to be successful. And I want them, it's in our name, it's community prep, it's getting them ready for the community. It's getting them, in the gallery, they are involved in every aspect of it. I even teach them the aspect of like, it's not just about an art when you approach a gallery or you work in a gallery. It's being a nice person and building reputation up with the galleries and the art community without being egotistical or being a jerk about it. I think that goes more if you talk to any gallery owner or any curator, they're going to tell you that's what they're going to look at the most before the art is who you are, how you present yourself, if you're a jerk, if you're not a jerk. And I want them to be able to have every experience from plugging holes in the wall and painting, making sure the bathrooms are clean before First Friday, to hanging the art, to working with the clients, to writing up contracts. I do wish we had somebody who knew how to do a website, but that'll be next, So.
One step at a time.
Right.
I'd say you've done pretty well already, because I see your posts, and it looks like you're getting a lot of support from the arts community there. Is that correct?
Right. And yeah, for sure, it's been overwhelming. And I think it goes, like I said, it goes back to when I was like ready to start exposing myself into the art world and trying to do shows. I couldn't get a show in Colorado Springs. I had shows in Hawaii and Denver first, and then finally, I had a couple people take chances on me down here. I think that's what I respected about Andrew's part when he approached me, because I wasn't going to do really anything in June, other than our students' art show. And I respected the fact that his photography was good and that he was approaching me. So I wanted to offer that too with this gallery as well. So, and then I was able to build a great relationship up with the art community and the art world where, everybody is definitely willing to support this, and we're all supporting each other. And, Colorado Springs has a reputation of real clickiness, and not a lot of people, they'll support one thing, but not the next thing. I'm sure it's in every town, but I'm a native here. But yeah, it's just been overwhelming with the support in every angle that you can think of too. So yeah, I'm really, really, really impressed on how everything's going so far.
That's awesome. So you've been at the school for 5 years, and that's where this gallery is at that we're talking about. Did it take you a little while to get to that point where you felt you were able to facilitate this by building this photography program, or was it just like a bunch of hoops that you had to jump through in order to get the powers that be on board? How did that transpire?
Well, luckily I have a boss. Well, the initial principal who hired me here was super supportive and all this. That's why he let me build the darkroom and start a photography program and blah, blah, blah. We've had some changes through after he retired that, all this stuff was going to go away. And then, long story short, we have a good and great principal now where I just went, hey, dude, this is what I want to do. And I gave him a proposal, and it was just like, he's a yes. It was awesome. So there wasn't a lot of hoops to jump through there, just kind of get my confidence up to ask. And then there was some prep work to do, painting. What am I going to do? How does this look? Am I going to get buy-in from students? So there's a little bit of that as well. And is this going to be like where nobody in the community supports it? Which I didn't think that much. It just kind of fruitioned within a couple months period. I have my classroom is also my studio. I'm able to use that as my studio. That's another really plus from my boss too. I'm able to use it. The darkroom is my darkroom, but I teach out of it as well. So, people come pick up prints and artists come over and check everything out. And they were all like, this would be a cool art space. And I'm going to do exactly what I want to do, And after those initial hoops and little fears I was having, or just self-doubt, it just really took place over in a matter like a month and a half, I guess, after everything was approved and everything.
Did you have to go through some public funding to get this going, or?
Well, no. So I have a small budget. Schools don't have a lot of money, especially an alternative school. I have a small budget that I use for my photography class and darkroom class. So really it was buying some paint. I spent some of my money into it. I had a couple friends donate a couple bucks. So we've been on this really shoestring, no budget kind of thing. What we're doing now with it is there's a 25% commission fee that the artist paid that goes right back into the program here. And if I get to buy a cigar out of it or something, it's cool. But yeah, the 25% goes back to the program. And then if we do get donations, and I haven't really solicited or anything, but maybe that'll getting a lot better lighting system or this or that or something like that. But yeah, no, it's been just kind of just like a little bit of my investment, a little bit of community investment, and a little bit of the school investment.
Yeah.
If people wanted to donate to this cause of facilitating this gallery space for young up and coming artists, how would they go about doing that?
They could contact me at my email address directly or on any of my social medias, and we could talk about it and go from there.
Excellent. How large of a space is this gallery?
It's pretty big. I haven't measured it out. I know artists will come in here and be like, whoa, they're kind of like, this is a big space. So it's actually now two different galleries, or not two different. I don't want to call it two different galleries. It's one big gallery, but we have a lobby area, which I've just painted over some mural stuff that was around since the 90s, which I had a hard time doing, but it was, making more space for our students. And we have another ex-student that's going to do a mural there anyways. But so it's pretty big. We had one of my first artists had 30 something pieces here, and we were still trying to find some room, and it works out. So nothing is claustrophobic. Everything is really comfortable and spread out. And then now with the other side of the gallery, I was kind of putting my stuff up to fill time because I have so much stuff that's stored. And I've always used downstairs anyways here to hang my stuff up to get, students get inspiration by it and stuff. And then we, students, that's another thing too. The students always have wall space here. Every show, every whatever, they have 2 or 3 big walls they get to use that doesn't, it still doesn't take away from any of the other artist space. So yeah, I guess I would say I've never measured it, but it's a pretty big, 2 pretty big spaces.
Great.
Nice. So you can actually facilitate multiple shows in this space that you have right now.
Right. And, I'm approaching it too, like, I don't want to have this is the main gallery and this is the second gallery. I just wanted one cohesive gallery. And then I started thinking, well, I'm only doing, one person shows in the beginning I started. And I'm like, well, now I could do 2 2 shows, 3 shows, or whatever, and still the artists still feel they're having a solo show and a solo experience as well, even if it went to that level.
It's a lot of work, huh?
It is a lot of work, and luckily I've had these really. One of my students is graduating now. One of the really go-getters, man, and that's always bittersweet. But the students have really stepped in, and they're super excited about it, and they've hung the last couple shows with my direction. There's a lot more that goes. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that people think, although everything just jumps on the walls, and and First Friday happens, and it just hangs. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that happens that I think, like I said, it's just as important, more important than just the show itself.
So many shows do you have in a year and in a school year?
So we're almost a year-round school, anyways. We only get a month and 2 weeks off. But as far as the gallery goes, it's full year. I'm already booked. I'm booked out through January right now. Just little making sure everything was going to run right, and I didn't want to book it because I could already have next year and the year next book probably.
Wow.
I just kind of was taking my time, I just was making sure everything was going to be, work out, So we're going to be 12 months a year. I know other galleries, they book 2 years out. And, that was the thing when Andrew approached me, I was like, I don't have really any time, everything's booked out. And then, and how he approached me and knowing how I was when I was trying to get shows, I was like, I'll squeeze you in, and I've done it with a couple other artists. And the kids get to earn credits with this too. So we do a college and career readiness program. So that's a huge part of like their graduation requirement. And then, so they get that, they get community project credits from it, art credits, general elective credits. So even if they come in on Fridays nights, Saturday nights, or Saturday days when we're open or whatever, that counts towards credits as well. So that was another big piece of it too. And I think we're pretty much a year-round school in the idea that a lot of our students would rather be at school than their home life sometimes. So we offer that ability for them to have a safe place. They still get fed and loved and get an experience. So yeah, if that's a long way to answer your question.
Oh, I love that. That's a great answer. And that's a great thing for these young people to have a safe place to go to when things are chaotic. And so Andrew, how did you come across this, and how did you make your pitch to Brian?
I've been doing art for quite a while, and I had my stuff displayed in like Cottonwood and other like open calls I could find around town. And I ended up talking with a like art curator up in Denver who's like in the industry, like in the big money art industry. I don't remember how I was able to get in contact with her. I found that email is a magical tool. And I just basically asked her, like, hey, so what would my next steps be if I wanted to try and get into the industry of fine art? And she said, you have a decent resume for a high schooler right now. Start looking to try and get a feature show. And so I said, all right. And I started talking to all the galleries I knew of. I ended up asking, and I gave a little pitch. And they were basically like, yeah, we are booked out for years. And at that point I was thinking, okay, well, that won't work. I'm going to be in college. I just kept looking around, see what I could find. And then I heard of this new gallery that was opening up. I had no idea who Mr. Tryon was. I didn't know about the community prep school or anything like that. I just saw there was a new art space opening, and I figured, well, it's worth a shot. What have I got to lose? Someone saying no, I'll take that rejection.
That's amazing.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, for sure. And that reminds me of Ed Dwight, be prepared and produce. That's the whole thing, right? You took some chances. You were prepared to send out some emails and, to do the follow-up, the legwork. And that's huge. So kudos for you for doing that, because a lot of people wouldn't do that. So that's going to set you apart already right from the get-go, is that you got this drive to go out and hit the pavement and send out emails and do follow-up. So good for you, Andrew.
Yeah, I found that a fear of rejection is the worst thing you can possibly have. If you're willing just to go and ask, the worst thing that they can say is no. And then, all right, move on, maintain a relationship, and meet someone new.
New Magazine is our media sponsor for the Tenet podcast. That's NUE. You can follow both the national and the Denver edition of New Magazine on Instagram. The national edition can be found at new_magazine and the Denver edition at new_Denver_magazine. Look to new for compelling stories from the world of art and fashion. Thanks for listening.
I'm Brian Tryon.
And I'm Andrew Bailey, also talking for Jaron Bilal and Valerie Cruz, and you're listening to the Tenant Podcast.
Brian, you've been embedded in the art community for a while and affiliated with other art organizations. What other art organizations have you been involved with, or are you currently involved with?
The really involvement now is just having, collaborating with all the different artists and galleries around town. But before I was on the Pikes Peak Art Council, I worked with the Raw artists up in out of Denver. Raw Artists was called. Really, that's really about it. Just like and whenever I can, I go do workshops, or I just did a photo voice project with the Pikes Peak Library District where we gave their library district checked out a handful of cameras to homeless people, and they got to go out. I teach them the workshop and teach them basically just compositional skills and how to tell a story with a photograph. And they went out and photographed for about a month project. It just ended last week. So they picked 4 of their favorite photographs, or their strongest photographs. It's going to go into the archives. They have an oral history and a photograph history archive. And then they're going to do a traveling show starting in November with all the library districts, with an opening reception and them speaking about their artwork. And then I'll be doing some other workshops and teaching through the library district. I manage, when I can, the Manitou Art Center dark room. So I try to, anywhere I can try to plug into that, where, now with the gallery and different things, it's kind of, my time is limited, but I'm always trying to, be involved somehow where I'm teaching or workshopping, or I just had somebody approach me about an internship with a Pikes Peak community college student. So I guess I just try to plug in where I can and be involved and help out where I can. But organizational wise, with the Pikes Peak Library District and the Raw Artists up in Denver and a few places like that.
Right on. Are you able to, in this whole mentorship thing, are you able to place some of your students in other places, other galleries or other art institutions around town?
I've had a couple of times where students were offered internships where their lives were still kind of where their lives were, and they either turned them down or blew them off. I've also done internships with tattoo artist friends of mine on that art side of everything. And then now, though, we had students we had 5 of my students do a show at a place called The Space here in Colorado Springs, another art gallery curated by Felicia and Chelsea that used to be at the Cottonwood Center. So yeah, they're definitely they're being offered shows if they want to. The community or Cottonwood Center has interned a couple of my students. So yeah, there's a lot of open doors for them. And I think it just comes down to the person sometimes, whether they're really ready to commit, and some commit and some don't.
That's fantastic. Good for you for facilitating those kind of things and really giving back to the community. I commend you on
Thank you.
Making that kind of thing happen. We need more of that, I think, in our communities. In addition to having this gallery and all the other things that you do, are you facilitating other programming around these shows? Are you offering like artist talks? Are you bringing in, anything special for First Fridays or doing other kind of special events?
So yeah, we just had Joe Johnson, who is a local singer-songwriter down here, did his record release here last month, or this month actually. Yeah, this month. I'm trying to get other musical artists that come in here. I put some stuff out for some national acts that are doing these little, like these indie rock bands that are doing, apartment shows and gallery shows. So I'm trying to get some more of that in here. I've had some good buy-in from some Denver artists and Pueblo artists and local artists want to do workshops here. I'm doing, so the Pikes Peak Art Council does Art Pop. I used to curate every year when I was with them. So we're going to do pop-up gallery stuff with that. Yeah, I want to make this, more. It's more than just a gallery. it's a, I don't know, I don't want to call it a lab well, I don't know what to call it, but we are going to offer, even my students teaching some darkroom classes and studio classes. That's the idea too, and printing and et cetera. So yeah, I think that it's wide open to what we want to do here, but that's kind of what I'm working on now, is offering a little venue for some music, for different kinds of art medias, and workshops and artist talks, and spaces like if your organization just needs a space to meet, so yeah, so it's being 3 months into it, it's like I have a lot of, I've been given free reign to do what I want to do. So yeah, my head just spins with everything I want to do here. So I'm here spinning now, but I can do this, and whatever. Yeah. So there's a lot more I want to offer here.
Amazing.
And so how often are you changing out shows?
So every month we have a featured artist. So it's just like any other gallery, we'll do a monthly first Friday opening with a featured artist or a couple artists, whatever that may be. Okay.
Right on. And outside of yourself and your students, do you have other help from the art community that has been, helping you and facilitating the programming and the things in the gallery?
Yeah, I've had, and it's like the behind the scenes stuff that's super important. I've had people come and paint. Mike V, a really amazing oil painter, has been stepping up and coming in the last couple First Fridays and managing the refreshment stand table or bar booth, whatever you want to call it. People have been donating mats for my students. Yeah, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff with a lot of different art organizations, and I can go to any one of the art galleries and people and they have a question. Let me pick your ear, or I have a concern, and yeah, there's all that going on.
Andrew, you mentioned about how you contacted Brian. How did you come up with this idea for the show?
Well, basically what I was thinking was, what art do I have? And I started looking at pieces, and I was thinking, okay, well, I've dabbled in like candid photography. I've done a lot of portraits. I've done quite a few silhouettes. So I came up with 2 series to put on display. And then I was thinking, okay, I have other artist friends at my own school that are wanting to get into the industry, and let's see if I can help them out a little bit. So that's where I came up with the idea of the up and comers. So that's going to be featuring myself, Valerie Cruz, and Jaren Bulala. Valerie is this talented drafter, and we were all taking the AP 2D art and design class, which requires you to go through creating a whole series of just like a sustained investigation is what they called it. So Valerie had this set of great drawings that are about coping through mental illness in healthy and unhealthy ways, and it was just full of color. And immediately I was just drawn to her work, and I was, all right, that can go into a gallery. People are going to look at that. People might want to buy that. And then Jaren has a series called Femininity, which looks at the female experience through an outsider's lens. So he's like capturing the highs and lows to this like abstract expressionist, not really abstract expressionist, but abstract symbolism. It's probably the better way of putting it. And I was thinking that, okay, well, if we combine these 3 things, there's this nice contrast between the works, and it goes through, and it'll create like more of a interesting experience for a viewer. So I was thinking, all right, 3 up and coming artists, call it the up and comers. So I wrote up a little gallery pitch, and I contacted Mr. Tryon, and here we are now.
Have you always been a go-getter?
I like to think so, but some people would say maybe not. I always try and put myself out there as best I can, especially with art. I always am willing to like try and talk to people, because I'm doing mostly portraits and silhouettes of people. So like my portrait series, The Stare, which is going to be on display, it's trying to capture people and their soul and essence through like a very simplistic composition. It's just a person looking into camera, maybe interacting with a prop, and it's all about the lighting, it's all about the contrast, and it's just about just looking at people. So I'm always trying to like meet new people, figure out their story. If I can convince them to pose for a portrait, I try and do that. Or when trying to meet gallery people, I'm just talking, going to First Friday shows, and just seeing who's around, basically.
So you're pretty involved. You're out there actually going to galleries and looking at what else is going on around your area to see, where you fit in, huh?
I always try and pop into like all the local galleries in the Springs area. Like I've displayed at Cottonwood quite a few times in their open calls. So I've met people there, and I've gone around, talked with the other artists that are working out of Cottonwood. I had a couple of pieces in the Space at one point, the same place that Tryon had his students displaying at. So it's just all about trying to meet new people and figure out where I can find opportunity, basically.
And so putting together the show, you're obviously the point person. Are you curating the show? Are you and Brian curating together? How's that working?
Well, I basically have been looking at, I've been in contact with the other artists because we go to the same school. So we're all in the same class. We're all looking at each other's stuff. And we're kind of just, at this point, just trying to get everything ready. And then we're just going to bring in all the art. I think each of the other artists have around like 7 to 10 pieces, varying sizes. And then I'm going to just make sure I have my set for the stair and my set for the silhouette series called Elegance, Passion, Power. And we're just going to bring it in and we'll figure it out from there, I believe.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we'll curate everything for them. Give them that experience too, that they're the artists and they get to just get everything prepared, and we'll curate everything for them. So,
Andrew, you're going to be showing 2 bodies of work, the silhouette series and then the stair series. How long have you been doing photography?
I've always been taking pictures, but I started doing like intentional photography probably my sophomore year of high school. I basically went to high school on the track like, I'm going to be an engineer. I'm going to be an engineer. That's my plan. Then I took calculus and I thought, I am not going to be an engineer. That went badly. That was a bad experience for me. And I ended up taking this like a photo 1 class because I was trying to get a fine art credit out of the way. And I just fell in love with the medium and had a little bit of a knack for it. I ended up winning some student competition. It was like Scholastic Art and Writing, like Silver Key or something. And that's when I realized like, oh, this is fun. I've seen this sort of stuff in galleries. I could try and make a career out of this. So I just went all in. And I had a photography teacher that was a great mentor, and he just gave me the resources to be able to do what I want to try and do. We have this nice little lighting studio. It's limited, but it works. So I was able to go in there, bring in a couple of friends, get them to pose, come with new ideas, and just go all in.
Well, and that's what's going to make you successful, is the fact that you have this attitude that I'm going all in. And that's huge. The drive. I have no doubt that you're going to be successful, that people are going to know who you are because of that attitude. That's amazing. And I completely understand where you're talking about when it comes to calculus. I would have bailed too.
I went through that class and was thinking, yeah, all right, engineering may not be the track for me. Let's go into art.
Yeah.
So did they have a dark room at your school?
Yeah, they used to have a dark room, and when I first got there my freshman year, it was still the lighting studio. We have switched to digital entirely because long term that's just way cheaper than trying to buy film every year. So there was like this nice big coffin sink in there, and the old dark room was converted into that lighting studio, which is nice because it still has like the ventilation, and some of my portraits have dealt with fire, so it was nice to be able to ventilate the smoke out. But that coffin sink ended up getting removed. All the film stuff is just in storage somewhere now, and we switched to fully digital at this point.
Gotcha. Have you experienced the dark room at all? Have you been able to play around with that with film?
I've had the desire to. I've just never really had the means. I've never really had a film camera. I've never bought film. I have this little disposable at some point that I might run through, get the 26 shots off that roll, and then try and learn how to develop them on my own. But it's never been like a big thing I've gone into. I've had the desire to try like some of the really fancy film, large format, medium format, because I've seen the prints that you can get out of it. I'm like, wow, that is amazing. I want to try that, but I've just never had the means to, so I've been sticking to digital.
So talk about this silhouette series and how you came upon that and why you decided to go explore that.
So the silhouette series, Elegance, Passion, Power, it started as just me experimenting with a different lighting technique. Because I'm always looking at other photographers like that have made it, Irving Penn, Richard Avedon, and the contemporary Tyler Shields. And he has this excellent silhouette series. And so I was like, okay, that looks interesting. I think I could probably do that. I kind of want to try it. And so I tried setting up silhouette lighting, and I got a shot, and I found like this has some storytelling potential because it creates this nice anonymity to the subject. And so I thought, what would be the best things that could add interest with anonymity? Elegant things, passion and love, and then a power dynamic. So in each one of those images, I'm always looking to try and find an interaction between the two.
You mentioned some of my favorite photographers.
Yes.
Richard Avedon, Irving Penn, some of the great masters of the 20th century.
Oh yeah.
Who else resonates with you as far as some of your favorite photographers?
I look at a lot of work. I look at a lot of work from a lot of people, contemporary and ex-contemporary. So there would be, I guess, as far as like contemporary people, primarily Shields and Gregory Crutzen. Quite like a lot of his stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then for like more classic photography, especially like candids, I've looked at a lot of Dworkin's pieces. I've seen a lot of the name estate. Vivian Mayer. She has a lot of good stuff as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of really classic photographers. And for more of the portraits, again, Avedon, Penn, Robert Mapplethorpe, I found to be, wow, that is I cannot do anything like that right now in high school, but those are some phenomenal images.
Yeah, that might be a problem at your high school.
Oh yeah, I've kind of like I found that like I'm just like very gently pushing the line of where I can get on the sensor, because I have this one photo and I haven't put it up anywhere, but it's this girl with a glitter tear scrolling down her face. There's this nice blue lighting coming in across her, black background. She has a rolled up $1 bill, and then there's this glitter in front of her, and it's supposed to look like a line of cocaine. And I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then I took the shot, and then it's bokeh out. So you just see this kind of white powder. I showed that to the photography teacher. He was like, yeah, you cannot turn that in. That is not appropriate for high school. I said, all right, never mind.
Oh. Hey, Brian, what photographers resonate with you? Do you have some favorite photographers?
Oh yeah, for sure. Man, Dan Arbus was always a huge influence to me. Gordon Parks, Stephen Shore, William Eggleston. Yeah, what Tyler Shields, he had this one photograph that just blew me away of this African-American gentleman lynching a Klan member, and it's super powerful. He almost lost his career over it. I just love the fact that phenomenal
series.
Yeah, he pushed that boundary. And I've been able to see Stephen Shore's work and Eggleston's work up close, Mapplethorpe's work up close, and in museums. And yeah, there's so many just different artists that photographers and not just photographers influence me. It's different cinematographers, different painters. And that stuff. Yeah, there's just so many out there, but the ones I just mentioned, the ones that first come to mind.
So Andrew, if you like Robert Mapplethorpe stuff, you should check out his brother, Edward, because he does amazing work as well.
Yeah.
I'll be sure to do that.
I love the fact that you're going back and looking at photography, because I feel like in this day and age, in the digital realm, it's like people just woke up one day and, they have these cameras, which, is wonderful that everybody has a camera and can document what's going on in their lives. But I feel like a lot of times people have lost, they don't have a sense of who came before them. So I commend you for exploring and looking at other photographers' work.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Sure.
trying to find inspiration. That's all I've been looking at photographers for. Because like I enjoy looking at it, but it's also like that's an interesting idea. How can I modify it? How can I make it my own?
I love that.
Yeah.
I do that with my own work. We talked about it recently on the podcast. One of the things when I was in photo school, one of the things one of my instructors said that he did, and he thought that everyone should do, is keep a clip file, which is just basically photographs that you find, in magazines, publications, or whatever. So I literally have like a whole crate of, I could be sitting in a dentist's office somewhere waiting to have my teeth cleaned. And if I'm flipping through a magazine and I see a great photograph, I'll tear it out.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking to replicate that photograph, but it might have some element that I'm interested in pursuing or exploring, whether it's posing, lighting, composition, any of those facets. I use that for inspiration, especially like, when I'm trying to figure out an idea for a photograph, I'll just flip through that stuff and see what gets triggered,
Mm-hmm.
Some of the pieces that you have in this show coming up, the up and comers, I really, really love, man. And there's a piece in particular called Duality.
Oh yes, that was a fun one.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so that was a set of two silhouettes. You have the female's shoes on the left with the glitter on them, and the male dress pants and dress shoes, both up in the air. And this wasn't the first time that I was looking at like the idea of this like kind of contrasting look. But with this one, I was thinking I wanted to like create some sort of a contrast between like the different like the male and the female perspective. And so I wanted just to put them together and try and get almost like they're looking at each other, but they're not looking at each other. So creating like a human interaction without having a direct human face in there. So you have this like nice glittery heel and then nice elegant, nice dress shirt, dress pants and dress shoes. And they're just pointed towards each other. And they're two separate prints and they're in the same frame. And I just found it interesting, like the interaction, like how they're almost like looking at each other. They're together without actually being together.
They're great pieces, man. I love that exploration that you did there. Is this a series that you're continuing to work on?
Oh yeah, this Elegant Passion Power series has just been, whenever I come with an idea for a silhouette, usually it pertains to at least one of those themes, whether it be love or just like a bourgeoisie kind of look or the kind of weird power dynamic between the two subjects or subject and implied subject. So yeah, it's just kind of constantly figuring out what might work and then trying it, seeing what happens.
I really like bourgeoisie. I think that's a great photo.
Oh yeah,
Talk about that piece.
Yeah, so that's about balancing one's public perception of elegance with representing a wine glass that's completely filled on top of this sparkly heel. And it's this nice little silhouette that, ooh, man, on the picture, the way it compressed on that Word file really damaged the lighting. But it just has a little bit of hint of light on the subject of the piece, but still maintain that silhouette look. So it kind of creates this like anonymity to who it is.
Yeah. These definitely need to be seen in person. That's for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, for sure.
I just love the composition of it. I love what it's, what it's saying underneath. I think that's really cool. Can you talk about the kind of the idea, how that developed? Is that something you can, or did it just kind of spontaneous?
It was just kind of spontaneous because I was thinking, at first it started as completely just, I want to try doing a silhouette. I don't want to do a true silhouette because I'd done a true silhouette. It just didn't have the same effect. So I wanted just to have that hint of light going on to the subject where you just have like, you get the form of the face, but you don't actually see the full face. And it just slowly developed into me taking more and more of them and just finding a real inspiration to do silhouettes. But yeah, I'm just looking at these like the images that you guys can see, and whoa, yeah, I got better prints than that.
Well, that's all right, because our listeners even have a worse view of it in the sense that it's all audio. But no, that's all right. It's all good. I love these though.
Yeah, thank you.
I love this one, Power. Talk about that a little bit and the thought behind that.
Oh yeah, so Power was I think it was probably like the third piece that was shot for Elegance Passion Power, because I need to, fill in that last theme. And it just pictures this guy who looks like he's in a dress shirt and a suit overcoat with his head being stepped on by a female in a just sparkly heel. And I was trying to like kind of get the idea of like a feminism power stepping down on the man to like step up. That was the main goal of that piece.
I love that.
I've seen different interpretations of it, but that was the original intent.
Very well executed, man.
Thank you.
And then the Stair series.
Yeah.
I love this game of the century. A lot of it has to do with the chessboard, because I'm a chess player and I love the game of chess. Talk about the concept behind this.
Oh, you're going to love this if you like the whole chess thing, man, because it was inspired by two photos. One, it was just a simple straight on portrait of Bobby Fischer. And he was just sitting behind a chessboard. He had this nice stare in the camera. It just really captures personality. And then the next one was another photo where it was a guy who was playing chess. He had the mirrored sunglasses on, and you could just see the reflection of the tiles in the sunglasses. So I wanted to combine the two elements. And I thought that it would be much more interesting if I could create it, like almost put like a historical context around it. So on the board is move 11 from Game of the Century, Donald Bryan v. Bobby Fischer. I don't remember the year. I think it was like 53 or something like that. But that was like this turning point move in the game. And Fischer was playing black, had the disadvantage. It's this international master. But that move, it was a turning point. That's when everyone knew, like, oh yeah, he's a prodigy. So I wanted to like capture the idea of someone just staring at a chessboard, knowing exactly what they're going to do. So I have the mirrored sunglasses on. It reflects the chessboard in them. And you have this hand go into the queen of Fischer, the character in this, making the next move.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love how much thought you're putting in to these photographs. And I love the fact that you're, exploring lighting. It's very conceptual. You have all the pieces of the puzzle, man. Here's another one I like, is this neon portrait that you did.
Oh yeah, that was completely an experimental thing. So I found that like you can get this really interesting look of a subject if you put this really harsh backlight around them, and it creates almost like this halo effect around their head. So I did that, and I had this in the studio that was just like really old red CFL. It gets hot, it's not bright, but it has like almost a neon sign look to it. So I got that as close to your face as I could get it without it being in frame. And there's this nice like flowing like reddish, orangish, pinkish light going across her face. The clear glasses kind of creates this interesting look of the subject and just like brightens the eye. So that was basically just an experimental piece. And I played with some of those different techniques. It's like nice backlights. If you were to go onto my Instagram, you can find a piece called Confetti, which has like a split tone down the middle of her. There's blue on the left, there's red on the right, or vice versa. I can't remember off the top of my head. And there's this nice harsh backlight that illuminates her hair and all the confetti that's flying around her. That was one of the earlier pieces, which is built up into a newer, probably better lighting technique. So it's just, you can see the experimentation.
Nice.
Once again, that's what makes you good photographers, that you're willing to experiment and look at things differently. Back up one, go just above that. And I'll tell you my favorite is Paint. I love this piece. I love the contrast of black and white in her hair. I love the paint, the red. I love the fact that you still left the hint of red in her lips. I think that adds in her glove. Talk about this piece a little bit.
Oh yeah, that was a fun one. So I met this one person. She's a character. She came to school in like full Cruella de Vil cosplay, and I was like, all right, that's interesting. Do you want to pose for a photo? And she's like, yeah, sure. So we ended up going to the studio, And I had wanted to be doing something with like a Kubrick stare. So I had her tilt her head a little bit, bring her chin down as low as she can, just stare like menacingly as she can in camera. And I want to create like this angry look. So I was thinking, all right, red paint. And she's just streaking it down her face, just with a just menacing stare into camera as much as she can.
I love that piece.
So what's your plan? You're a senior in high school?
Yeah, senior in high school.
So you graduate this next month?
I'm graduating really soon. It is. It's scary, man. It's scary. But I'm set up to be going to college in Boston. So
in Boston, where in Boston?
Tufts. So like just outside Boston, like Medford, Massachusetts. So we're going to be going there. I'm in their art program. I'm just going to be continuing to just pursue meeting new people in Boston, trying to find new gallery opportunities, and just improving my craft for the next 4 years.
Fantastic.
What made you choose Boston?
Well, prestige is unfortunately a pretty big part of trying to get stuff in the fine art industry. So I was looking at like universities where I had a chance of getting into that had some prestige behind them, and Tufts was in that area. Whereas, yeah, there's some prestige around it. It has a good program. Let's apply, see what happens.
Nice. So your focus is going to be photography there, or are you going to explore other things, do you think?
Oh yeah, I'm probably going to dabble in other mediums. I've tried painting here, but I've just never found the same enjoyment. So, but I could find a class for any of the mediums that are Tufts. And the way their program's set up, they basically just give you free reign. So I was kind of looking at printmaking, some ink stuff. I like drawing. I've never been the best at drawing, so I might do some like level 1 classes with that, see how I fare. But that's all up in the air at this point.
So here's some advice from some old guys. Take some business classes.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, lots of business class, as many as they'll allow you to take. Just the essence of business is going to take you a long way, because I mean, it's great to get exposed to different mediums and learn the fundamentals and what rules to break and how. But man, the one thing we always hear is like it never really prepares you for the real world. Right. Where a few business classes, that'll pay off in dividends, man.
Yeah, I'll minor in that.
There you go. See,
I think that would be really smart, man. I really do.
Yeah.
You already got a great tool set as far as, photography is concerned, and you continue to explore and hone your craft. You're going to be just fine. It's the business thing that I think people stumble with. And like Wes said, if you can get some business classes under your belt, I think you'll be better for it for sure. We talked about that these other artists that are involved are your friends. Let's talk a little bit about their work. What do you like about Valerie's work?
Well, when I first saw it, I was like, it's trippy is the best way to describe it. Yeah, I like that piece. It's called Coping Through Suicide. And there's like this, like 2 eyes just staring down at this character in the foreground. And they have this like orange rope just around their neck. So she's dealing with whatever she's dealing with. It's not my place to be asking that sort of thing. But she's found a way to express it through art. And just the repeated circles is what I found the most interesting. The way that she colors in her subjects was probably the most interesting thing about it.
Yeah, this line art that she has going on, in addition to the kind of traditional stuff, is really intense, really amazing. And like you said, trippy.
Yeah, it creates a lot of movement to the piece, which is nice. Like your eyes can never just stay in one spot. There's always a line drawing you to somewhere else.
It's really beautiful. And so how many pieces is she going to have, did you say?
Each artist is, other than myself, is going to have around like 7 to 10. Okay. It's up in the air at this point. But we have a lot of pieces that are finished, and we'll just be picking the best of the best.
Gotcha. This piece here is interesting as well, Coping Through Religion. She's exploring a lot of heady subjects here. Is this something that she is typical of her work?
Oh yeah, this is very typical of her work. She did a whole like sustained investigation, so that was at least 15, where we're just playing with different ideas of how people deal with their mental illness. So you have this like deity figure in the background, like kind of grabbing on to this person, You can look at it as like grabbing on and help, or almost like holding them down, like as a trap kind of thing. But it's just an over looming figure over this subject in blue.
And how long have you guys all been friends?
We all basically met this year, to be honest with you. We all were taking the same AP class. We all saw each other's work. We all were talking about each other's stuff and the critiques that we had every month. And there just became a bit of a mutual respect for each other's stuff.
And Jaren's work is just off the charts.
Yeah. He is.
Sure.
I think he's a prodigy, not going to lie. I think he's a genius.
This one piece here, A Body in Chaos. I'm enamored with that piece.
Yeah, I love that.
Sure.
I can't say enough about it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is pretty typical of his work as well.
Yeah, he definitely improved throughout the year, because a lot of the stuff at the beginning was like really small. It was a really simple thing. But then as he started playing around more with different symbols and then abstracting them, it became this like these really excellent, like partially geometric, partially flowing line compositions. Like in this one, you have the kind of a heavy set female figure with these like needles coming out of her that's hanging. And he described the meaning of this piece, and it was like really in depth for what he was thinking. And I'm not going to try and recall exactly what he said, but everything with his stuff, there's just so much going on in it. Because you have like the obvious symbol, then you have all this abstract stuff in the background, sometimes in the foreground. It all just connects, and he's really excellent with color theory. And everything is just able to like work together, create pop, and create a unity.
Yeah, this is a very powerful piece, and I could see how it conveyed different meanings to different people, because it really is multifaceted for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Every single piece that I see of his is like the uterus. Man, that's just intense.
That was one of his earlier ones. That's basically what he started with. And it's this nice little, you have this like flowing lines, and almost looks like a claw structure going up into the female anatomy with this like gradient circular background that just creates this nice eye drawing center point, which then pulls you down through the composition, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely stunning. Brian, were you impressed by when Andrew approached you with these other two artists, Jaren and Valerie? Were you impressed by what you were seeing?
For sure. I like you said, they're heady pieces, man. And I think it's, I really love the young artist view on things. I mean, and as we get older, we get a little bit more jaded and cynical. And I think that some kind will reflect in certain things, but just the headiness and the intelligence of these pieces were amazing, man. I mean, I love his colors and just everything he's working with here, and his palette, and the compositions are great. And yeah, and just like there is a story with, really deep meaning story in all these. And I can't wait to get their stories when I meet them and we do the show and everything. Yeah, they're off the charts.
It definitely does not look like high school work. And I've seen, some phenomenal, high school artists, but
yeah,
I mean, I think this show is going to be a slam dunk. I mean, it's just really strong work.
Yeah.
I'll be curious to see what the response is from the people that come view the show.
I was just thinking when I look at like the piece Uterus, it really reminds me of Daniel Sprick in subject matter, maybe not in, technique yet, but subject matter alone. Like I could see them working to get well together. And I just love it. The Uterus is a great piece. I love how everything about it, the composition. I love the use of color. I think it says a lot in the small space.
So this show will run through the month of June. So it opens June 3rd and runs through the end of the month.
Yeah, and outtake would be, the week before First Friday, basically that weekend or whatever of the next month.
Okay. And Andrew, so what is your trajectory here? What's your plan for your career and after college?
Well, the goal is definitely to try and get into the fine art world, but I know that's a long shot. So always there's going to always be a backup plan. So I still want to continue with photography. I want to being able to do that. So like worst comes to worst, I'm not able to make a living solely off of just print sales and commissions. It's going to be probably going to like photojournalism because I have a lot of like experience doing candid photography just downtown, trying to capture stories of mundanity. But it's going to be it'll start to be doing photography to tell a story of the real world rather than just fictitious.
Well, I think you have nothing but a huge future in photography. If you wanted to be in the fine art world, I think you have everything it takes to do that. You definitely have the creativity. You have the drive. I think you can draw your own path. I think that going to the East Coast is going to offer a lot. Maybe making a trip to New York City and trying to pair up with some great photographers and artists up there. That's just going to be huge, and you'll skyrocket, man. I have no doubt about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate your professionalism and your tenacity. We got the initial email, and we get a lot of emails. A lot of it is, spam stuff, but it's always nice to hear from other artists. And I appreciate your initiative and reaching out and getting some PR for the show. And like I said, I really appreciate the professionalism. Our friend Bob Ragland, who was all about the business and getting your own PR, would have been really impressed by you and proud of what you're doing already as a young artist. So keep doing what you're doing.
Oh yeah. And thank you for taking a chance on me.
Oh,
absolutely. There's no way we couldn't. Like, the whole premise of this podcast is exactly, what you're doing right now. When we started thinking about what we wanted to do with this podcast, it was a place where people could talk about what they're doing and how they're doing it and how to have a successful art life. And you're putting into play already some of those things that you need to do to be successful. So like I said, very impressed. Keep doing what you're doing. And like Wes already said, you'll go far. I firmly believe it. I'll be curious to see where you're at in another couple years. You keep us in mind. And as things start to shake out, we'll have you on again and we'll talk about where you're at, where you started and where you're at then. Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Right on, man. Gentlemen, you want to promote or talk about anything else exciting that you guys have coming up?
Yeah, just the gallery just moving forward. We have a lot of really good, talented artists, and the fact that I'm able to represent a lot of the underrepresented artists, I think is great. I think just a stepping stone, like even with Andrew having a show, or any of these couple artists that haven't had a lot of shows are really going to get more press and more notifications and more shows. I think it was the real intention of the gallery in itself, and offering that to the artists and offering that to my students. And we just have a lot of great stuff coming up, and I think it's the sky's the limit right now. And I just hope everybody keeps supporting artists and local galleries and supporting each other. I think that's where we lose a lot of stuff in the mix, as the lack of support with each other. So, I mean, it's not a bad thing to like somebody's photograph on the social medias or their artwork and promote it on, throw it on your page, say, this artist is great or whatever. But I think I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing here and moving forward at the gallery. And I'm really excited to have all the artists we have coming up.
Yeah, and I just want to promote the artist Instagram pages if you're interested in seeing some of their work. For my fine art photography, it's at abphoto15. Valerie, the drafter, at Valerie_art04. And for Jaron Bulala's paintings, it's at Jaron's Art.
Fantastic. And Brian, what's your personal Instagram?
It's Brian Tryon, all one word. And then, the Garfield Gallery is the other one. And if, we talked about donation stuff before, if anybody was interested, can DM me on social media, or they could email me at btryon@communityprepschool.org.
Fantastic. Well, man, Andrew, I'm so glad you reached out to us and wanted to be on the podcast. This is huge. we want to support you and Brian and everything you and the other artists and everything they're doing. So keep in touch with us, because we'd love to see where everybody's going and what news coming from you. And I'm so happy that we were able to do this episode with you guys.
Likewise. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure. And I follow you guys. Some of my friends have been on the show. It's really great what you guys are doing, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. We always love to hear that from fellow artists and people from the art community. So we appreciate that. Again, the Up and Comers show opens June 3rd, runs through the month of June. Mark it on your calendars, featuring the art of Valerie Cruz, Andrew Bailey, and Jaron Balula. Garfield Art Gallery is located at 332 East Willamette Avenue, Colorado Springs, Colorado, 80903. Follow the Garfield Gallery on Instagram at the.garfieldgallery. And they have a Facebook page. You can look them up, just Garfield Art Gallery. For the Tenant Podcast, I'm Todd Pearson.
And I'm Wes Brown.
Have a great week.